functions can also return a value. This is a very important concept, as you will see, because it allows us to further our agenda, which is to make sure that these entities that are functions are able to do all the work they need to do and then send out a result. In fact, ultimately, that's exactly what functions are supposed to do. They actually send out or create a result that we can use to do something else. What I mean by that is as follows. So I'm going to comment this out quick there, and let's create another function at the bottom here. Give it some space. Okay, so at the bottom here, I'm going to say fun. Let's call this calculate cat age, like this. So I'm going to pass here a parameter, say cat age. It's going to be an integer, and voila. So what we can do right away, we can say just, well, we just want to print a message here that says, in fact, this shouldn't be cat age. I'm going to say just age, and then we're going to use that and multiply by 7, I think, to get cat age. Okay, so if the cat is 5, that means then we have to multiply it by 7 to get the cat age. So that's just a number I picked, okay? All right, so in this case here, I can say this cat is, so I'm going to create a val here that says cat age is equal to what? Age times 7, like this. And so here, I'm just going to pass the cat age like that. So if we call this, I'm going to say age is 7. Let's go ahead and run. You can see the cat is 49 years old. You can say years old. Okay, the cat is 49 years old. Okay, it's working perfectly. But the one thing that this function here doesn't do is return the age of the cat. It's not returning anything because all we're doing here is actually we're printing this here, right? The cat age, years old, and so forth. So what we want to be able to do is just to return a value, which is an integer, and then I can do all sorts of things. Because imagine if I wanted to be able to, I don't know, when I get the cat's age, I want to subtract it by 2 and then multiply by 200 and then get the exponential power, divide by 400 and do all these calculations. At this point, I cannot do it because this function is not returning a value that I want, cat age, right? It's just printing something out to the screen, which is fine. So how do we return something from a function? Well, we return something from a function by saying colon and say int. In this case, I'm saying, okay, this cat age or calculate cat age is going to be a function that will have parameters, right? But also it's going to return an integer. And you can see this is the syntax. Say colon and then pass the type that we're expecting to return. And you can see that we have an issue here because if you have over, it's going to say, well, it has to return something, right? Because we said here, that's the contract. This has to return something. So now I can get rid of this altogether and just go ahead and say return like that. Now, if I run this, you will see that nothing will show. It ran fine. There were no errors, nothing. Why is it that nothing is showing? Well, we call calculate age, but it's returning an integer. So in memory, we have that integer. It's just that it's not showing here because we did not printing it. So now I can just say print like that and enclose all of this, right? Just like we did before, and we can see the result 49. And the beauty is because this is returning the age, which is an int. That means I can do all sort of things with it. I can create a val here called cat age and assign it to calculate age and pass age. Say this cat is 12 at this point, right? And now I can just use that cat again, cat age, like this, and run. We're going to get the result is 84 years old. And because we're printing, I can concatenate everything, right? I can interpolate it, I should say. So I can say here, this cat is cat age years old. Run, and voila. Now the beauty of this is that I can do all sorts of things with this value, this result, right? It's an integer. If I want it, I can straight away say I want to multiply this by 10. Okay, if I run this, you can see now this cat is 840 years old. So there's advantages of getting at the value or returning a value because it simplifies our lives. It makes it much easier for us to do other things with the results that we get. So this is a very simplistic way of showcasing this return type that we have for this function. But you can imagine if this function is this very secretive and it does a lot of heavy lifting for something, we don't care. Whoever is going to call this calculate cat age, they don't really necessarily want to know how you calculate it. They just want the result. So this is how we would do it. We have an int type that is being returned, and we have to use the return key word and then age times 7. And of course, if we wanted, we could have created a value. Let's say val age is equal to that age. In fact, let's just change this val cat age, then equal to age that we're receiving times 7 in this case, and then return that cat age. That works as well. But you can see, because Kotlin tries to be succinct, it says just make this inline variable. So click here and you can see returns that. The other thing is, in Kotlin, there's usually more than one way to write the code, right? And so the idea is to make Kotlin very succinct, so easy to read, compact. So in this case here, since we're returning one value, we can actually make this way easier to write or make it more succinct. So I can get rid of these, can get rid of return altogether, and get rid of that braces, that curly brace there, and then I can say equal. So this is the same thing what we had before. We have a return. So this is saying return this age times 7, essentially saying whatever we get from this operation here, we're going to set it to our calculate cat age, which indeed is supposed to hold an integer. So this will work as well. So you can see from what we had before to this, it's very succinct, to the point, and it's easy to read and maintain. If we run again, we should see that the cat is 840 years old, because we added multiply by 10 just to prove a point, and now it's more manageable, 84 years old.